After any tragedy, there's always knee-jerk reaction to act. The Florida shooting, of course, no exception. But are there moves certain corporations can make that are correct? Joining me now, Washington Examiner commentary editor and visiting fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, Tim Carney, is back on the show. Welcome back, Tim.
Thank you, Kennedy.
So let's talk about this a little bit. I mean, you have a variety of different reactions. You know, Dick's is saying, hey, maybe we screwed up selling a shotgun to the shooter, but we followed all the procedures. Therefore, we're not going to sell any more assault-style weapons. I don't have a problem with a big company like Dick's self-policing, but then they go one step further, and now they're encouraging legislators to codify their actions into law.
That's exactly right, that a lot of times businesses will do something that they hope to get good press for, and maybe even they think it's the right thing to do, but then if it's somehow a limitation on themselves, they want to make sure that other businesses have to follow these same rules too, and so they lobby for legislation. But the thing that bugs me most about this is you see it again and again when businesses act as if they are taking a bold stand, such as standing up to the gun lobby. They never actually stand up to the people who could harm them. So here, the wrongdoers, the people who made the worst mistakes, was law enforcement down in Florida and on the federal level. And you don't have big businesses standing up and saying, you guys failed. You have them saying, well, let's change the law or stand up to the NRA. Law enforcement is the ones who deserve the opprobrium, but no business is going to go after the law enforcement because they're afraid of what the blowback could be. So instead, they go after very unpopular entities such as the NRA today, which in turn is going after ordinary people ordinary gun owners who make up the NRA.
And they're also politically shaming them in order to save face with a section of their consumers that may not even go into Dick's in the first place. It's very interesting, but I do give Warren Buffett some credit. He had an interesting quote. He said, I don't believe in imposing my views on 370,000 employees and 1 million shareholders. I'm not their nanny on that. People individually should very much express their views. I don't think Berkshire should say we're not going to do business with people who own guns. I think that would be ridiculous. And he's absolutely right. But there is this rush to politicize and make sure you carve out a space and a political opinion that is acceptable to the mob.
Well, I think that there's actually a real interesting line to walk here. That I'm with you that if Dick says, if you're below 21, we're not selling you a gun, that's reasonable and that may even be the right and responsible thing to do. But this demand that everybody from Dick's to FedEx to Taylor Swift get involved politically and start lobbying and expressing loud opinions, those are two different things. One is, what sort of business are we going to do ourselves? Which cakes are we going to bake, you could say, versus we as a business are suddenly going to become woke and socially aware and all that. Those are two different questions, because I do want businesses to stay out of things like crony capitalism. As a Catholic, I want small businesses certainly to have the right to decide, a hospital shouldn't have to get involved in abortions if it doesn't want to. So what business we're going to do, we're going to act according to our conscience. I think we need more of that. On the other hand, as a business, we're going to use our platform to make political arguments. Those are two different things.
Yeah, and also act preemptively so we're not subject to a boycott. Because boycotting things and boycotting businesses and creating hashtags may feel good, but in the long run, they have very little effect. And they do very little to change what's wrong or to answer the big uncomfortable questions, which ultimately I think people on the right and the left and even corporate America that's somewhere in the middle, I think they want this whole issue to pass because it's not good for business and people want to stop talking about it.
And the thing about boycotts, again, is, people boycotted Chick-fil-A, you remember, because the owner had some opposition to gay marriage. And that certainly didn't have an effect on Chick-fil-A, but it does have an effect. I've spent years studying why lobbying and these different things work. It does have an effect on the self-image of the executives. Executives who, even of a company that's not a left-wing company like Dick's Sporting Goods, the executives, they run in elite circles. And when they show up at a cocktail party, ultimately they want to be able to face their peers in those elite circles and show that they share their politics. And that has a bigger, that's how boycotts have their effect.
Yeah.
Not by
no,
denying
that's
revenue
absolutely
to
right.
them, but
I blame
harming.
the dirty bubble. Tim Carney, thank you so much.